Go to line number 3. Good morning, Dennis O'Keefe. You're on the air.
Hiya, Paddy. How are you this morning?
Not too bad, I suppose. How about you?
Not bad. By about 8 o'clock this morning, I just finished a long, almost 24 hours of pressure washing my daughter's back deck. So I'm primed now and ready to go.
Good.
I got 2 or 3 issues I just want to bring up.
Okay.
One is the most controversial, the portfolio health that is in crisis, the portfolio health that costs us, the taxpayers of Newfoundland and Labrador, by far the largest portion, I think nearly 50% of our budget, and we have a part-time minister. Now, how ridiculous is that? At this time in healthcare, right across Newfoundland and Labrador, with all of the problems that we're having, none of the solutions that seem to be working, big things, little things, even we still don't know who or how many are out on Airport Road. I mean, that's fallen into oblivion somewhere. So all of this is going on, and we have a government that apparently doesn't have the talent level enough to find somebody to be the Minister of Health. And so now the part-time minister, we now have 2 part-time ministers. Mr. Hogan is the part-time Minister of Health and the part-time Minister of Justice. And how ridiculous is that? It points again to the lack of talent in this government, that they can't reach out and find a replacement minister. Secondly, I think you mentioned this morning that the wind energy appeals are all in and are all rejected. Is that so?
That's how it's reported, and that's the comments coming from the minister responsible, yeah.
Well, Minister Davis, right?
Yeah.
Minister Davis now needs to tell us, the public, the people in Newfoundland and Labrador who are going to be paying in one way or another for this project if it gets to go ahead. We need to find out how these appeals were evaluated, if they were evaluated, what was the method of evaluation, and who did the evaluations. Not good enough for him to say there were 15 appeals and they were all rejected. By whom? By John Risley? So come on, Minister Davis.
Well, what do we get out of the fact? Let's say Minister Davis comes out and says it was Susan Jones and Bobby Whitfield did the review. Then what?
Well, then I'd really be upset, because I want to know if qualified independent people looked at those appeals. That's all I want to know. And if the 2 people you mentioned... Oh,
I don't even know who they are. They were fictitious characters. I just made up names.
I know, but I'm just saying, if they weren't fictitious and they were qualified independently to look at these appeals and dismiss them, that's fine, as long as they go through the process. And that's the problem right along with this project. The protest or the process is willy-nilly. So, Mr. Davis, Bernard Davis, needs to come clean on this, and we, the public, need to know when our government asks us, gives us an opportunity, the public, to appeal, we need to know that our appeals are being evaluated judiciously and fairly and independently by people who are qualified to do it.
Now, not to be saucy,
okay,
but even if we get the information you're looking for folks who are members of these some 15 groups, nobody's going to be satisfied with that additional information. They're still going to be disappointed or frustrated or angry about the fact that their appeal was rejected or denied. But here's from the minister, and I'll let you react. So Minister Davis says the government followed its legislative process to determine there was no reason to accept the appeals concerning the project's environmental assessments. He goes on to say there was a full consultation. The environmental assessment process is very fulsome. It covers a variety of different departments. We put things in place that allow for those concerns that were raised to be mitigated, and obviously that's where we've upheld that decision. It goes on to talk about some 60 different conditions that need to be met, pre-construction, construction, and through the duration of the project's lifespan. Talk about water and noise monitoring, and the fact, regarding the roads, to ensure sure the bridges and roads can handle the weight of the equipment that's going to be carried about the Port-au-Port Peninsula and beyond. So that's basically what it is. Now, I was led to believe, and now apparently I got an email from one of the groups this morning saying that they did not receive their formal email saying that their appeal was rejected, because apparently inside that email, when they get it, it's supposed to walk them through why their appeal, because all the appeals might not be on the same thing. Some things might have been just about water, maybe about noise, maybe environmental footprint, maybe about export and hydrogen and, ammonia, so who knows. But apparently the email is supposed to walk you through why your appeal was rejected. At least that's what they
and
say.
That's fine if that's what happens. If each of the groups that had their appeal rejected are told why and by whom and how their appeals were rejected, then fine. That tells me that the proper process was followed. Right now, most of what you read, there's a term for that. It's called gobbledygook. Until we find out, Minister Davis, let's boil it down to, again, if there's a letter going out to all of these groups, then they had better itemize to their satisfaction how, who, how, and the methodology that was followed. That's all, so that the process is legitimate and the process is followed. They may not agree, I may not agree, but we've always said about this project and other projects in Newfoundland and Labrador that proper process should always be followed. No shortcuts, no deals behind closed doors. None of that should be going on. And so we'll see now when various groups receive the appeals. The last thing, Paddy, I know I don't want to take up all your time. I mentioned to you a while ago that I was going to meet with the Public Utilities Board on the Petroleum Products Pricing Review.
Right.
So I did meet with some of their regulatory committee for an hour and a half, one afternoon, one hot afternoon. It was an extremely good meeting, a very fair exchange of information, and we went down through some of the more contentious recommendations that are in that review, and I also, and I indicated to them at the time that I was contemplating doing this, but I have made up my mind now that I will be a presenter at the hearings when the hearings take place, and I'll be there with a presentation on behalf of the Consumer Group for Fair Gas Prices. So I just wanted to, because when I talked to you last about this, I indicated that this meeting was coming up. It did, to be fair to the PUB, and it was an excellent meeting, I got to say. We, they had a lot of technical information because the two regulators who were there were very, very good, I must say. And there were only four of us at the table, and it went well, and I'm going to follow up now with a presentation, and I'll be notifying the Public Utilities Board of that today.
Fair enough.
So I'll keep you up to date on that also, Paddy.
I appreciate that. But very quickly before I let you go, and I threw this out there the other day, see if I could get a reaction. Because remember back when Paul Davis was the Premier and he appointed Judy Manning to be the Minister of Justice and Public Safety, she also went on to say that she might not necessarily run in the very next by-election available to her because she wasn't an elected member. And the fury was very quick. And of course, her tenure didn't last very long. I mentioned the other day that, look, when John Haggie, an actual doctor, was the Minister of Health, many people weren't even satisfied with having a doctor as the Minister of Health. When in fact, if we want to have a firm understanding of the system, a background in medicine might be helpful. I thought, what if, would people accept Pat Parfrey, who's the Deputy Minister of Health and Community Services at this moment in time, co-chair of the Health Accord? What about him as the Minister responsible? Because if there's anybody out there who's been working hard on the actual operations of what the future looks like of healthcare, Dr. Parfrey's one. And now I know he's not elected, but for me, and now that's the politics of it all, I just want the best we can get in the various portfolios. And I know it's absolutely should indeed be starting with folks who are elected by their constituents. But what do you think as Parfrey as the interim minister? He'll kill me for even throwing his name in there.
I think that's a good idea. I think you're onto something there. And it's very simple to put it in place. And you mentioned the example of Miss Manning and her appointment. And, of course, it is tradition and precedent in our parliamentary system that if you appoint somebody from outside to a cabinet position, then that person should run for a seat in the House of Assembly at the first available opportunity. So, you know, if Pat Parfrey wanted to take on the job, and you're right, he's more than well qualified and able to do the job, and he wanted to take it on and run for a seat. I mean, there's a seat coming up pretty soon in Waterford Valley, replacing the old Minister of Health, Tom Osborne. So, yeah, you got a good idea.
Yeah, and now, of course, Parfrey will kill me for even putting his name out there.
I know he will. You're in trouble.
And so be it. I've been in trouble for a long time now. Doc, appreciate the time. Thanks for the call.
Yeah. Okay, take care, Paddy.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah.